Okay, so thought I would do a quick review of the SYM Orbit 2 125cc scooter. The reason I decided to review this is because it's one of the cheapest scooters you can buy in South Africa, and thought people might find it useful to know what it's like in person. So I'm not going to be going through all the specs because you can find those online. I want to talk about, is it worth buying, will it do the job, why I bought it, that kind of thing, what it's like to own. Okay, so I bought this new. The reason I bought this is because I've been looking at scooters for a long time. There's a place that I like to come on holiday, and it's a small town. I don't want to constantly be trailering or loading my motorcycle when I come here. I think the reasons you buy something are quite important because it's going to dictate what you buy. So in a nutshell, the reason I bought this is just to get around town. My concerns about it were, is it like really cheap and nasty? Is it well made? Does it have enough speed and enough power to get me up some of these gnarly hills in this beach town? You know, some really steep hills here. So I didn't want it to be like super slow going around town. Not that I was after speed, but just to know that it can do the basics. And I also wanted to know that if I have a friend or a family member with me, will it comfortably lift two people up some very steep hills, or will it struggle to do that? And is it worth the buy? So I can answer that question quickly before taking a closer look at the scooter itself. The answer to that is yes. I bought this brand new, as I said, Suzuki Margate. They gave me really good service. Bike was ready really quickly. I've done 56 kilometers on it. Its first service will be due on 300 kilometers and then again on 1,000 kilometers. There's no break-in period for these scooters. You can just get on and ride it even if it's new. And so I own two motorcycles, but so that's sort of what my experience is. I've ridden scooters before, I've never owned one. So that's where I'll be speaking from. And to go back to the question, can it sort of be a little holiday mobile for you and a friend? Yes, it definitely can. Would it make a good commuter? Yes. Short, very steep hills, it does very well. Obviously being a 125 automatic, long sort of drawn out hills, you're going to lose speed. I rode it to the town I'm in from Margate. It's about, let's just call it a 20-kilometer ride, and it was fine. I didn't feel unsafe or that I couldn't keep up with traffic, but there was this really long steep hill at the end, and with only myself on the scooter, I was doing only about 70, which is still reasonable. So I think if you're looking at it as a commuter, it's definitely capable of doing all of that. So I would actually classify this as the cheapest scooter, because you can buy cheaper scooters, but how available are they? Can you walk into a dealership in your nearest town and get one? Number one. Number two, are they serviceable? Is there good support for them? Number three, are they built well enough to not be dangerous? So those are all questions that I had in my mind, and the scooter retails for 1699 South African Rand, which is, call it 17,000 Rand. And there are cheaper scooters on the market. So if you're looking at Big Boy, and it's actually just Big Boy. I mean, I know John Way, but on their website, so they've all sort of come together on a website called SYM, or South African Motorcycles or Motorbikes, I'm not sure, but don't see any John Way scooters being sold new really anymore. So there are some cheaper Big Boy scooters on that website. I think the cheapest one is about 16 grand, so it's a grand cheaper. I can never find Big Boy dealerships. SYM, on the other hand, seems very well supported. It's sold by Yamaha dealerships all over the place. It's sold by Suzuki, as I just mentioned. They will service it for you. They will get parts if you need parts. So for that reason, I thought I'm not even going to look into Big Boy. I don't know if I can get support for it, and if I do, I don't know what the quality of that support will be. So that's why this, in my opinion, is the cheapest, most viable form of motorized transportation in the country at the moment, which is why I'm doing this little review here. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to go into specs, just what's it like to own, what's it like to ride. I have been riding with a passenger for most of these 50 kilometers that I've done. Now 50 kilometers doesn't seem like much, but you can get a very good idea of how capable something is depending on where and how you've ridden that 50 kilometers. So I'd like to do an updated review later, more of a long-term review. So yes, I've been riding with a passenger. Our combined weight is around 160 to 170 kilograms, and around town, up crazy uphills, downhills, everything has been fine. It's got more torque than you'd expect. The automatic gearbox, well, it's not technically a gearbox. You can go read up about what kind of transmission this has. It's something you've got to get used to. For me, I'm used to riding motorcycles with gears and clutches. It's good, it's great. You can just get on, start the thing and go, no worries. Very easy to learn, very good for a beginner. It's a lot of fun. There's something about a scooter, it's different from a motorbike. It's a lot of fun to ride this thing. So if that's something that you're asking yourself, okay, it's capable, but will it actually be a fun machine to own? And I can definitely say yes. I've had so much fun on this thing just in 50 kilometers. Okay, so let's look at just some of the bike's little features and just explain to you how things work. So mirrors are good, they feel solid. Everything about the bike, yes, it's a cheap bike. You're never going to get around that fact, anything viable in the 125 motorcycle range here, you're going to be paying 20,000 Rand for your cheaper brands, up to 50, 60 grand for your Yamahas and your Hondas, etc. Like if you're in this price range, like below 20,000 Rand, you've got to expect some compromises have been made in terms of build quality, etc. Which is why it's so important to get something that there's support for. Both of these levers are brakes. You've got your back brake and your front brake, and yeah, they work really well. I mean, like I said, I've been riding with a passenger, never felt like the brakes are weak or anything like that. Compared to riding a motorcycle, it's nice actually to have both brakes at your fingertips and not have to sort of shift your foot around for the back brake, etc., especially with a passenger. This I feel is way more comfortable than a small motorbike. Pull in one of the brake levers to start the scooter, so it won't start unless you've got a brake pulled in, which is a nice little safety feature. Okay, you've got your electric start over there, your ignition over there, you've got your hooter, your indicators. Yes, everything is on a build level that I'm quite happy with, and I'm quite fussy when it comes to this stuff. Yes, there's obviously a lot of plastic, it's a scooter, and you know, using sort of this coated, who knows what it is, steel or aluminium versus stainless steel or hardened steel, or what you might find on some more expensive machines. It's all to be expected. I feel like, I see they've got to compromise at this price level, and this is not a heck of a compromise. It's just like small parts that have been made out of this cheaper sort of bronze plated metal, but in general I think quite solid and well put together. We've had a lot of weight on this thing and been hitting speed bumps, potholes, and nothing has come loose or rattled off or broken or anything like that yet. Okay, other nice features are these shopping hooks, so you can hang your shopping bag there. There's another one over here. Got your center stand there, which is very useful. You've got a Kickstarter, which is great because a lot of new bikes aren't coming with these anymore, so if your battery dies, you've got to jump start the thing, and it's just a nice backup to have, and I've tested it, it works very well. Got your normal side stand here. To open the seat storage, you just turn the ignition to the left. It opens like this. You've got quite a lot of storage in here. You've got your fuel cap here. Okay, my helmet doesn't fit in here because it's very like round, but I think most helmets should fit in here, like unless you're an extra large, whatever it is, but still useful. You get your owner's manual. You will also get your, you know, manufacturer's certificates and all that. You get a basic toolkit, which seems very basic, but can do pretty much everything you need to do. It's a little screwdriver, you know, reversible, flat Phillips screwdriver. Yeah, it does smell very plasticky in here, but does that matter to me? No, not really. Here, interestingly enough, you've got like an immobilizer, so if it's locked, then you can't start this bike. So here you've also just got this screw, which I've taken out beforehand just so I can show you. Here you've got access to your carburetor, your accelerator cable, and some other parts that make it easy to make some adjustments and all of that. You can't switch it onto reserve or anything like that. Once your fuel is finished, it's finished. This rack is one of the more solid racks I've ever had, to be very honest with you. Comes standard with that rack, so lots of place to hang stuff and strap stuff and put stuff away, and even you can even lock stuff up here in your seat, which is great. So because the seat opens by turning left, they have added an extra feature, which when the bike is on, as in running, let's start it up. Just pull that brake lever in and start it up. So when the bike is running, if you do want to open the seat, on the light switch here, you just, and again the seat opens. It's got an automatic choke, so you don't need to choke it up. It starts like pretty much first time. Something is rattling, but I think it's just because of how the bike is standing. I'm just going to move it slightly. Something that's inside here is rattling, but anyway, so maybe we can just give you a little preview of what it sounds like. I'm gonna have to whoops, almost fell over. So yeah, you can't really rev the bike because it's automatic. It'll just go. Got your hooter, it's very loud. Let me do it. Oh. Sorry, that's the starter. You've got your hooter, it's super loud. You've got your indicators, let's check those. Nice and big. They are nice and big, and they make this impressive sound. These ones, what I like about them is they're very visible, but they're also like tucked away, so they don't get damaged or get in the way. And you can hear this sound. You've got your indicators there on the dash, so you'll never forget them on. The bike has to be on and running for the lights to work. You've got a bright and a dim, and yeah, I've tested the lights, they are more than adequate. The other thing that's interesting is it's got this extended mud flap. You see how long this is, but it can easily be removed with just a couple of bolts, which is quite nice. If it's very rainy or it's the rainy season, you can keep this on, and if you wanted to look a little bit more sporty, I suppose you could take it off. I'll just leave mine on, but it's nice that you have that option. Pretty solid looking rims on this thing. Everything's very neat, sort of well thought out. Nothing seems like last minute or just like copy and paste it on at the end. Your front fork is covered by these boots, which I think is really important, especially in this coastal climate where I'll be using this thing. There's sand around, as you can see, sand and all sorts. So if you hit a deep pothole or you hit a speed hump too fast, you're gonna feel it. Especially the back suspension, it's gonna limit out. It's gonna hit its limit, and you will feel it. Is it a deal breaker for me? Not at all. These things aren't made to go off-road or anything like that. I have taken it up some muddy, wet, nasty places, and I've taken it up curbs, etc. It's actually got pretty good ground clearance for a scooter, I've found. A lot of scooters are very low to the ground. This one seems higher up. See if we can get an angle. Like, it's quite nice and high off the ground. I mean, one of the things that I do before I decide to do a review is I Google if there are any helpful reviews. Now, there is a review online, which is easy to find. It's a written review. There's no footage, there's no video, but they talk about the Orbit being very underwhelming, and they expected more, and the one thing they focus on is the scooter feels very high and unbalanced and all of this kind of stuff. I haven't experienced that at all, and I don't really understand where they're coming from. I'm actually quite glad it's a bit higher off the ground, because I do like to do some slightly stupid things and push the limits a bit, and go up pavements and stuff like that, but it's done all of that really well. Yeah, the tires you get standard on these cheaper bikes are always pretty nasty, and I must say these don't look too bad. They don't look plasticky, they look more rubbery. I've cornered this thing to the limit of what I feel comfortable cornering, and even with the new tires I haven't felt like it's dangerous or like it doesn't grip or anything like that. Been pleasantly surprised by the grip. If you're sort of on the fence about it, you have the money but you're sort of worried, I hope this puts your mind at ease a bit. I'm very happy with it. I've got no regrets so far. First impressions are very good. In fact, it's exceeded my expectation, especially with carrying a passenger and just the practicality of owning it. It's a great little machine, and just for commuting or going to school or to work or just exploring a bit in your town, I don't see why I would spend an extra 15, 20, 30, 40 grand. So yeah, I think that's where I'll end it for today. If there's anything you want to know specifically, just ask me in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, so here we are with the old GoPro on, and let's take this little SYM for a ride. I hope you guys can hear me. Don't have a special mic or anything, so here goes nothing. Cruising around town. I hope you can hear me because the wind is pretty bad. I'm going to try and get to a spot that's not as windy. But no, let's see. Let's go down here. The wind is bad. I'm having to like look down at the GoPro while I speak, so I might be shouting a bit. Okay, so I'm hoping that the wind noise is a bit quieter here. It seems to be a bit more protected. Got about a 35 degree hill here, and I'm just gonna test the acceleration up the hill for you a bit, and then we'll find an even steeper hill just now. Full throttle. Doing about 50 kilometers now. Okay, let's do that again. So on about a 35 degree climb, more or less, it actually kept accelerating up the hill. I think at the most there I was doing just under 60, so that's good. It's not a very steep hill, but we'll find one of those soon. Hopefully find somewhere that's not so windy. I feel like this is a pretty good place to do a brake test. You can see that rock over there. So what I'm going to do is turn around, I'm going to go back, I'm going to get up to 60 kilometers an hour, which is like the speed limit in urban areas, most urban areas. And then as soon as I get up to this rock, I'm going to apply both the brakes as quickly as I can and see how long it takes me to come to a complete stop. So let's do that. Okay, here we go. Let's try and hit 60. Okay, just a bit of a bump there. Okay. exactly make 60. I think it was like 55, but it's taken me a pretty quick stop, as you can see. But if we just roll back here, from 55 kilometers an hour, it's taken me about 4 meters to stop. There's the rock. So I suspect the suspension will soften up a bit. I mean, this bike has very low mileage right now, so it should soften up a bit, but I think either way it's never going to be like a soft and cushy ride. But the seat is very nice. It's like firm, but it just pads you from those hard impacts. Okay, so I found this dusty, sandy road. It's about a 45-degree angle. Ooh, muddy, very muddy. Maybe just go up this bank here. Anyway, like, you can explore a lot of places on this. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier is the scooter is so light. So that was a bit weird. And this is quite gnarly here. Just interrupted those people's lunch because this isn't actually like a public road. A huge benefit to the scooter is just how light it is. It's so easy to push yourself through whatever you may come across, and move the bike around with your own body strength. Just get out of the wind here. Okay, so huge hill. I'm just accelerating to do a bit of braking there, but just smashing this hill. Okay, so that hill was at least 45 degrees, very windy, and the scooter just kept accelerating very slowly up the hill. It feels like you're going very fast, but the point is that it keeps accelerating. So I was doing between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour. So I'm going to do like a bit of a top speed test somewhere around here. Let's find a flat piece of road. People think I'm crazy because it looks like I'm talking to myself, but I'm never going to find a long flat road here, but I found one that's quite close, at least to give you an idea of what speed and acceleration you're going to expect. So this is actually a slight uphill, so unfortunately it's the best I can do. So after the speed bump I'm just going to send it. So managed to hit just over 60 there, I think. I just can't for the life of me think where there's a flat piece of road where I can actually do this test properly. We'll just take a cruise back home, and as you can see, this thing can corner and lean really well. The side stand has a bit of a limiting factor, in that it's got like an extended bit, which if you lean too far, I'm talking like really far, and then you might scrape it a bit, but I don't think I'm even capable of leaning that far. So yeah, we'll just take a cruise home.